The First Parish Church in Plymouth is in need of some major repairs. While the stone structure might be nice to look at from the outside, those very stones have not been as protective as they'd hoped during rain, wind, and weather. As a result, much of the mortar that holds it together has been knocked loose and has left the facade with several gaps between the stones. It's also affected the interior. We met with the chairperson of the Restoration Committee to find out just how much work needs to be done.
When I started doing tours, I started looking at the building, and I realized that there was a lot of work that needed to get done. The stained glass windows were in bad shape and needed to be restored. And so I just started exploring how to get some money, where to start, called the National Trust for Historic Restoration and talked with them. They said you need to get a structural survey, so we arranged, I got a little committee together, we arranged to have a structural survey of the building. Preservation consultant came out in one of those little bucket things and looked at the mortar, inspected the mortar, found a lot of places that where there was no mortar. We have photographs of her with her screwdriver in between the stones. And that was really the start of it. In the interior of the building, you can see that there's damage up on the ceiling. There's falling plaster. There are other places where there's falling plaster. And that's because the exterior of the building, which is stone, is saturated. The mortar between the stones undergoes a freeze-thaw cycle, and it's actually pushing some of the interior marble stones out of the wall. So all of the exterior of the building, the shell of the building, needs to be repointed, and that is all of the mortar removed and new mortar inserted in between the stones. To restore the actual east-facing facade and the tower, it's in the ballpark of $950,000. To restore all four sides of the building is in the ballpark of $1.5 million. So we've got a ways to go. It's an iconic building. It's the center of town square. The Pilgrims built their first fort up on the hill behind us, and there's been a place of worship on this site ever since. This is where it all started. This is really, I consider it holy ground. I think it's where it all began, and that's why it's so important to preserve and restore.